We're talking today to Matt Nelson, one of the two members of Nelson. Matthew and Gunnar Nelson, the two members of Nelson. And, well, now I get the chance to talk to the other one. Gunnar I chatted with 2 years ago about the Christmas show, and now we have the virtual show, and I'm talking to you this time. So I don't...
Well, that's good. Well, at least we get to round it out and make it a complete full Nelson, because you got one half, I'm the other half. There you go. Full Nelson. On the phone right now.
Right. It's finally accomplished here. This virtual event is going to be coming up in a few days is when it premieres, on December 20th. So that would be Sunday, 5 p.m. Central Time, 6 Eastern, whenever anyone's listening to this. It's Christmas with the Nelsons, an online Matthew and Gunnar style Christmas show. Like, everything is going virtual this year. I was literally just on the radio minutes ago talking about the Trans-Siberian Orchestra is having a virtual show this year. I mean, that's the thing, and it's a way to get that out. When did you guys decide? I mean, was it really natural with everything happening this year and a lot of stuff going online? When did you guys decide, let's do the Christmas show as a virtual event?
Well, I don't think anything this year is natural. We got murder hornets, baby. I mean, it's crazy out there, right? Gunnar and I actually, we had the idea of doing this along with some other shows that we've tried virtual. You know, I think every artist in our position is trying to find the right platform to reach our audience, and even more than that, and make new friends and stuff with the virtual experience, mostly out of necessity. I don't think you talk to anybody that really says, oh, I really think that this is so much better than having a live audience in front of you. But then again, there are some artists maybe that on second thought might think that. But Gunnar and I are really about, you know, we were the guys that would shake hands with people after every show for 2 hours or 3 hours. And we're all about our fans. And that's what our family's been about. And that's what this show historically has been about. The last 6 years, it's 3 generations of Nelson family Christmases, going back to Ozzie and Harriet's era, growing up with our dad, Ricky Nelson, and, of course, our families now. And Gunnar and I actually wrote a Christmas hit, an original Christmas hit, broke the top 5 on the Billboard chart 2 years in a row recently, which is really a feat considering we're going up against, you know, Blue Christmas by Elvis Presley and Mariah Carey and Bing Crosby. I mean, it's tough to do that as a songwriter, so we're proud of it. And it was kind of a thing that we always, you know, thought of doing, but wound up executing that 6 years ago. And then with this year being as crazy as it is, and actually having a couple of shows that we've recently gone out to do, including one Christmas show in Florida, and just to see that, you know, when you have 10 or 11 months of everybody telling you, you know, that the world outside of your home is dangerous, it tends to, you know, we experienced it just kind of being out there and doing a show where we could kind of see it on the faces and talk to our fans and stuff like that. They were there, but I think times are so uncertain. We want people to feel comfortable. You know, and if they're going to feel comfortable in their pajamas in front of their fireplace, okay, we'll do that too. The one on the upside of things, I look at this as being our ways of exploring, reaching our fans that might not be able to make it to a show of ours, whether it be Christmas or Nelson or our new project Firstborn Sons or Scrap Metal, all the things that we do. Maybe when we come out of this and everybody goes out and can be together and do it the way that we all want to be, you know, real human beings, we can do this as artists along with the live show experience. So it's going to be additive and not just a substitute. But I think that seeing those shows firsthand and realizing that people right now would kind of prefer, honestly, in a lot of ways, to have a you know, socially distanced virtual experience, whatever you think. And so we're going to provide that for our fans. And that's what this show is about. The platform is called Meet Hook, and not M-E-A-T, M-E-E-T, hook.live, /Nelson. You could find us, both, I'm sure maybe you could share a link. You know, you can go on nelsonbrothers.com and find it. But most importantly, wherever you are, you can get this show. And we're going to be running it for a few days after that, but the live experience is going to be that first concert. And Gunnar and I are very excited about ending this year on an up note, as possible, because the show really makes you feel that way.
Keep having flashbacks to 1968 about how that was considered I mean, I wasn't around in 68, but everything I've heard was that terrible year, terrible, terrible year. Then you had like Apollo 8 right at the end, like, hey, okay, there was something a little nicer about that. And that kind of seems to be the vibe I'm getting from some other artists that are either doing the virtual shows or doing Christmas stuff, of like, okay, maybe we can kind of close this off on some sort of a nicer thing here with what you guys are doing. What exactly is going to be different besides obviously playing to the camera a little bit as opposed to an audience? What is there anything in store, without giving away what's going to be in the show, that's going to be a little different about this?
Well, I mean, you just kind of said it in that pre-roll there, is the fact that there will not be an audience there. So you play it differently. And I always say this to people. I've played venues that are virtual all the way up to stadium shows. You know, I've played for 70,000 people before, and I've also played in front of a Mito camera and a GoPro. So there are different ways as an artist that you learn through decades of doing it to communicate. I think Dolly Parton is probably the biggest genius of that. I mean, I think she can do both equally well. And so I look up to people that I admire like her and try to do that. What Gunnar and I have done is kind of distilled the elements of the show that we put together, the live show, which incorporates archive footage and video from our family. We're very blessed to have 435 episodes of Ozzy and Harriet and all these interviews and stuff with our dad and with Gunnar and myself. And, you know, without giving it up, I think we took the highlights from the show that we normally do and added a couple of things that play better to an audience that's at home. You know, I don't want to give away all of it. All I'm going to say is if you've seen Christmas with the Nelsons, you know how that show made you feel. And that was the most important thing to us, was that when people signed off, they felt like they had a real Christmas experience at a time, like you mentioned, that a lot of artists are trying to save the Christmas spirit and Christmas joy and what Christmas is really all about, and kind of put that out there to the world. You know, we all kind of feel like not only is it's something that we genuinely want to do, but almost, you know, that is our job, actually, to elevate people. I mean, Gunnar and I always say that, spiritually speaking, we're the guys that would be on the deck of the Titanic playing songs as the ship went down to calm people. I don't think our ship is going down. I'm actually one of those guys that thinks the opposite. I personally think the worst is behind us. We know far more about what our situation is with our health, at least with this particular situation we're going through. And I'm an optimist, and I look at all kinds of things that are happening now that'll make people healthier, and you know, I genuinely feel like I'm looking at this show as being not a way just of ending the year on an up note, but a symbol of, hey, we survived the worst of this, and next year's going to be better. Speaking
of encouraging people online, that's something you guys have also embraced. There have been Gunnar's regular series online, the Good News, and then, of course, the Matthew Mondays that you've been doing. First of all, before I dive into that, what's the puppy status?
Puppy status is Puppy is on board of Mommy, and Puppy will be born at the end of this month.
Okay.
And can come home in a couple of months. I went with Ozzy, and we met some doggies, and there were, you know, of course, the dad is the dad, but the mommy bonded with us instantly. What a sweetheart! What a beautiful dog! And honestly, for a little boy to get his first dog, and I encourage adoption. I do, because I've done that a lot before. And this is the kind of thing where, you know, very responsible, reputable people that have a big history over years and years, decades, with animals and dogs. I mean, when Gunnar and I grew up, nobody knows this, but our mom was like the queen of rescue animals before it was cool. And we always, Gunnar and I grew up with 5 or 6 dogs. Usually anything that was missing an eye or a leg came home, and Gunnar and I took care of those dogs and those animals. And, you know, we spent a lot of time actually at a friend's working cattle ranch during the summer. So we're kind of city mouse, country mouse people. And I think that's why we feel so comfortable around animals and stuff. So we're really excited about this addition to the family, because that's what they are. And there are a lot of animals right now that need a lot of love. So again, you know, sometimes people say, "Oh, you're buying a dog. You know, you're the part of the problem." No, I'm not part of the problem. I still donate to animal charities, and I still, if I see an injured animal, I help that animal, and I'm one of those guys. So, you know, it's really more a time that I think that, you know, if animals are going to be born anyways, I'd like one to go to a good home, and that's what we're doing, and we're very excited about it.
So you guys, like I said, diving in with the Matthew Monday, with the Good News. That's right. Well, it's something additional in online content that, to outside of the lack of live performance, the other big takeaway I've gotten from following the music industry in general this year, and any interviews that I've been fortunate to do, is I keep seeing people doing online, like, live presentations from home, and you've seen the same thing. How did you guys settle?
Right.
Yeah, how do you settle on your particular avenues? Like, okay, where's our niche going to be? What are fans going to, not only would they want, but what do you feel that they need from you? How did you decide on these two approaches?
Well, good question there. Gunnar and I just actually had a very long conversation with. It's very relevant that you're bringing this up now. Gunnar did an interview for a musician that has a vlog in Spain on a platform called Blabbermouth recently. And Gunnar has been doing something called The Good News because it started with, we meet a lot of people at our shows, always have great fans. They always communicate with us. And sometimes they'll ask advice. What happened with Gunnar was he got a message from a fan saying, Gunnar, I've heard so much bad news, and that's all I see when I turn on the television or the radio, and I feel like I'm being bombarded with, gloom and pestilence. Is there any advice you can give me? And that's when he decided to do The Good News. He wanted to be the guy that went through research and numbers and added an alternative, because you can get plenty of bad news if you want to focus on that, right? And in his experience of doing this, and honestly, when I talked to him, I said, look, I want just something a little bit lighter. Maybe people can find out a little bit about, my home life, because I really don't talk about that. That was how I decided to contribute with this. I've been hey, my home life and my family, that's for me. And people can understand that. You're a very personal person outside of that and at your shows, but you want to save a little for yourself. But in these times, people got to know me a little bit more, just as Matt. The people that know me, and that's one thing that you don't usually get with a lot of artists. Gunnar and I have always been very real, down-to-earth guys, and I have to say that with him, he's kind of been on a mission to not offer at all a counterpoint to a lot of the narrative that's going out there, but he is one of those guys, and I got to tell you, I really admire him for doing this, because I saw what happened when he did this last interview. He was citing some numbers that he took directly off of, relevant and, the things that people are citing as being, well, you got to go for the data. He went right to the CDC. He went right to the WHO, and he did the research and went down a few pages and deep dove and found information. And he said something along the lines of, hey, I think things are getting better, and here's my backup to this. But there are, unfortunately, some people that are out there that feel more comfortable being told bad stuff. It kind of follows into what they've been encultured to believe over the last 8 or 9 months, and, if you're around somebody, you're going to spontaneously combust. That's not really the case. And in a lot of cases. And the fact is, coming from Gunnar and myself, just to get personal, and we never said this, but we've had COVID. We survived it. Our families did, both of them. And so we were fortunate that way, and we have our own experiences. So some people started saying, oh, he's spreading disinformation, and maybe if he had this, he would know what he's talking about. And all he was trying to do was say, hey, it's not all bad news. It's not all bad news. And there are, unfortunately, some people that just don't want to hear that. And I've seen there have been people in history that when they come with good news, it doesn't work out well for them. And, bless my brother, he's a fighter and a warrior because he really feels like it's his job as an entertainer. It's not an ego thing. He doesn't get paid for this, to do something good and make people feel, think about this. In our shows, like Christmas with the Nelson, our band, anything that we do, people that have followed us for years, we used to take a lot of heat for kind of being too, not squeaky, but just basically we were never a spill beer on your girlfriend's kind of group. We wrote good pop, heavy pop songs, and we always kind of, we have three rules in life. You have to be undeniably good. That's rule number 1. Rule number 2, never lose your sense of humor, because you're going to need it. And 2020 will show you that. And rule number 3, don't be a jerk. And you can substitute the last word with whatever you want to. But those are our 3 rules that we've always followed, and it's always gotten us through stuff. But you're going to find some haters, even if you come at them with good news and good things, because they find comfort in whatever they're telling themselves or whatever people are telling them. So, I got to say that I love my brother. He's my twin. I honestly, haven't put myself in as much of the line of fire as he has recently, just for being positive about stuff. And we're those kind of guys. A friend of mine told me a long time ago, a guy named Jack Ponte, one of my dearest friends, he said, you guys can make the most out of nothing more than anybody I've ever seen. And I took that for years as the most amazing compliment. Wow. I talked to him about 3 months ago, and I said, Jack, remember when you said you guys can make the most out of nothing? I took that as a compliment. I said, my friend, that wasn't a compliment. I was insulting you. And I was like, that's what I'm saying, is it just depends on your perspective. And everything that I've learned about life and success and happiness has to do with your perception. And so, bless Gunnar for saying that. Another guy in our family said a long time ago, you can't please everyone, so you got to please yourself. And I think if you're doing something that you believe is right, regardless of how people take it, they can take it one way or another, you're doing the right thing. So that's kind of what we live by.
That line does sound a little familiar for some reason. Someone I'm sure is a reliable source on that one. Speaking of family members, Gunnar 2 years ago had mentioned Goose, if memory serves me right. That I think that was the thing that was like his Christmas dinner. That was the thing that he wanted to cook. I think that's what he said. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. So for your Christmas dinner plans, because I remember he was telling me that, so what do you guys do for Christmas? He said, well, we're always performing. Well, of course, that makes sense because you guys are actually out on the road during December ordinarily. Well, in an ordinary year, this year, however you want to call it, what do you do for Christmas? And maybe if I could be more particular, do you cook anything for Christmas?
Okay, so for everybody, for the record, Matthew Nelson is a great eater, and I'm an opportunivore. Okay, I only have 2 bugaboos on my personal list of food that I don't love. That's liver and beets. Okay, other than that, all bets are off. Okay, so I am the eater. Gunnar is the chef. I can do mean dishes. Gunnar can cook. Now, my family lives pretty close to Gunnar's, and we're probably going to spend Christmas together, which is great. And usually we do spend Christmas itself together, but right before Christmas, we're usually doing our show Christmas with the Nelsons. So we get to, I think everybody has, for better or for worse, has spent more time in close proximity with their family members this year. And on the up note, I got closer with my little boy, Ozzy, because he grabbed my leg about a month into this whole situation, said, Papa, I think it's great you're not playing right now because you can spend more time with me. And it was like the song The Cat's in the Cradle was my soundtrack as that went on. I was remembering times with my dad being on the road, too. So that's the upside. The other thing is we get to spend more holidays together with Gunnar cooking and me eating. And I love Thanksgiving so much that I am hoping to relive Thanksgiving leftovers with a Christmas dinner that's a lot like what we had at Thanksgiving. I'm talking, if Gunnar wants to make duck, I'm down with it. He makes a mean duck, and he really... That's one thing that he's been doing recently is online posts of, little cooking tips or whatever. And occasionally Gunnar and I have done some things. He actually has done it more than me. I kind of come along for comic relief, but we call it Dinner and a Show, where he gets to oversee and participate in the menu for a group of people, usually at a casino because they have a big kitchen. And people buy a ticket and they get to eat his menu for dinner, and then we play a concert while they're eating, which is really kind of a neat idea. And I think we're going to do more of those kind of things too, again, when stuff loosens up a little bit and we get past the current situation. So I guess the long and the short of it is whatever Gunnar wants to cook, we will eat, and I will gladly and happily do the dishes.
Well, everyone has their part. I mean, that's how a family works. Someone has their role, and you do the cleanup role.
I can, you know what, in our twinship, that's usually what it is. We always joke and say that I'm the Kissinger. So Gunnar is the girl in the china shop that goes in and destroys everything, and I'm usually the guy with the dustpan cleaning it up. And I'm good with that. I'm fine. That's my role. The Secretary of State, if you will, for this. Oh, exactly. So, yeah, we'll wrap it up here by quick asking 2021 plans you mentioned earlier about Firstborn Sons and the music that could be coming out. Are we looking at actually having recordings out in calendar year 2021? Not only are we going to have recordings out, heck yeah, we've finished 2 albums worth of material. We've had Chris Lord-Alge, who's the greatest mixer on the planet, mixed more hit records than anybody, has mixed the singles. We are just waiting to go with it, and it is a great American country rock album in the vein of what kind of like what we grew up with, like a modern version of Rick Nelson's Stone Canyon Band meets Linda Ronstadt at her peak and the Eagles. It's really cool stuff. If you like guitars and you love country music, you're going to be really happy. Gunnar and I have worked really hard on it. Great music. Again, Firstborn Son, so that will be coming out. We're looking at going to market with it. Probably with the current situation, we'll settle on a partner to release it in spring and release by summer. That's our goal with that. And so we've been in the studio and working a lot with that. I also have a side project called Red 37, completely different type of thing that's been in the can for a long time. It's a modern rock three-piece that it's going to be for a different market, but our fans are going to love it. So you can watch. That's finally going to come out. Everybody's been talking about that, no joke, for years and years. And so Red 37 is coming out, and we plan all of our shows that we had this last year. I think 3/4 of them just got shifted over a year. So the good news is not only are we going to get out there on the road, hopefully, and play those concerts that we didn't play last year, but Universal Music is going to do a definitive Nelson Greatest Hits collection that's going to come out. We've just done, we're working on finalizing our deal with them for a catalog deal for all of our 15 titles. So there's going to be a new album for Nelson, not only the greatest hits, but after that, we're following up with an original album for that band as well. So lots of new music coming out, and we're going to be busy kind of going through and breaking some ground with this new model of adding the virtual world into what we normally do.
All right. Christmas with the Nelsons. It's coming really soon. It's coming on Sunday, 5 p.m. Central, 6 Eastern, then on demand until New Year's Day. Go to MeetHook, that's MEET, hook.live/Nelson. And that's where you can buy your ticket, and definitely do so, and you can experience Christmas with the Nelsons. Wherever you're at, wherever you are in your building, wherever you're at, you can listen to Matthew and Gunnar and watch them as well. Have a Merry Christmas, both of you and the rest of your family, and have a safe rest of the year, and we're looking forward to all sorts of stuff coming from you guys in 2021.
Well, thank you so much. That was really well said. And Merry Christmas to everybody listening, whether or not you see the show. We hope you do. But we hope you have a much better year next year. God bless everybody.